The emergency signal cut through the normal chatter of the Galactic Council chamber like a knife. Every representative in the massive hall stopped talking at once. The holographic display at the center flickered to life, showing a desperate face. It belonged to a Velian, a species known across the galaxy for their peaceful nature and fragile bodies. "This is Captain Rima of the colony ship Harmonious Dawn," the alien said, its voice shaking with fear. "We have been boarded by Krath marauders. They are taking our people. Our life support is failing in the safe zones. We have less than 18 hours before—" The transmission cut to static, then silence. Admiral Nari stood in the Earth delegation section, her dark eyes scanning the data that appeared on her personal screen. She was a tall woman with short black hair and the kind of calm expression that came from seeing too many battles. Next to her, Captain Hyun leaned forward, his jaw tight. "How far?" Hyun asked quietly. 14 hours at maximum burn," Nari replied, her fingers moving across her tablet. "We have 3 ships in range, the Indomitable, the Relentless, and the Typhoon." Around the chamber, other species began to argue. The Velian representative was crying, its large eyes producing tears that fell like rain. A tall, insect-like delegate from the Tresh Collective clicked its mandibles in anger. "We must send a peacekeeping force immediately," the Tresh delegate said. "The nearest council fleet is 6 days away," another voice called out. This one belonged to a floating, jellyfish-like creature that pulsed with colored lights. "The Velians do not have 6 days. What about the human fleet?" someone asked. The chamber fell silent again. All eyes turned to the Earth delegation. Admiral Nari felt the weight of those stares. She knew what they were thinking. Humans were dangerous. Humans were violent. Humans came from Earth, a death world where everything tried to kill everything else. Most species in the galaxy evolved on calm, peaceful planets. Earth was not one of those planets. "The human fleet could reach them in 14 hours, the Tresh delegate said slowly. "But perhaps that would be unwise." "Unwise?" Captain Yun stood up, his voice hard. "You mean you would rather let them die than let us help?" "Your species is known for excessive force," a council representative said carefully. "The Krath are dangerous, yes, but we must follow proper protocols. Perhaps negotiation—" "The Krath do not negotiate," Nari interrupted, standing beside Hyun. "They are pirates and slavers. They will kill the Valians or take them to be sold. There is no time for your protocols." The chamber erupted in debate. Some species argued for caution. Others pointed out that the Valians would be dead before any proper force arrived. The Valian representative just kept crying, begging for someone to help their people. Finally, the council arbiter, an ancient being that looked like a tree made of crystal, raised one branch for silence. "The human fleet has permission to respond," it said, its voice like wind through leaves. "But we will be watching. Any unnecessary violence will be reported and judged." Nari nodded once. "Understood. We will bring them home." She turned and walked toward the exit, Hyun following close behind. As soon as they were out of the chamber, both of them started running. They had no time to waste. On board the carrier Indomitable, Commander Jinwoo was already preparing when the order came through. He was a thin man with sharp eyes and quick hands, known for being able to coordinate 3 things at once without breaking a sweat. His fingers danced across the holographic display in front of him, pulling up star maps and tactical data. "Alert all ships," he said to his crew. "We are going to maximum burn in 5 minutes. I want damage reports ready every 10 minutes. The engines are going to scream." In the medical bay, Dr. Soman was reading through files on Velian biology. She was a short woman with gentle hands and a mind like a computer. She memorized the information quickly. Velians had hollow bones, 3 hearts, and blood that could not handle human normal gravity. They would need special care. "Prepare beds with low-gravity fields," she told her medical team, "and get the xenobiology kits ready. We might be treating injuries we have never seen before." Down in the Marine Bay, Lieutenant Do-hyun was checking his armor for the third time. He was a big man, built like a wall, with scarred hands and a face that rarely smiled. Around him, his squad was doing the same. They called themselves Hammer Squad, and they had earned that name. "Listen up," Do-hyun said to his Marines. "We are going in hot to pull civilians out of a kill zone. The Krath are going to be armed and angry. We hit them hard, we hit them fast, and we do not stop until every Velian is safe." "Clear!" "Clear, sir," his squad shouted back. Specialist Yoonji was among them, a slim woman with quick reflexes and a medic's bag that never left her side. She was checking her weapons with the same care she used when checking medical supplies. In combat, she would be both healer and fighter. In the pilot bay, Ensign Tae-yang was running simulations. He was young, barely 25, but he could fly a shuttle through a meteor storm with his eyes closed. His fingers moved over the controls as he practiced the approach again and again. Come on, he whispered to himself. Faster. They need us faster." Captain Hyun arrived back on the Indomitable and went straight to the bridge. The view screen showed the 3 human ships preparing to burn hard toward the Velian colony ship. Behind them, the council station grew smaller. "All ships report ready," Jinwoo said. "Then let's go get them," Hyun replied. "Maximum burn. Push the engines past the red line if you have to." The 3 ships fired their engines, accelerating so fast that any other species would have been crushed by the force. Humans could take it. They were built for high gravity. Their bodies were dense and strong, made for a world that did not forgive weakness. Down in engineering, Chief Kwan watched the temperature gauges climb into the danger zone. He was an old man, gray hair and wrinkled hands, but he knew these engines better than anyone. "Come on, girl," he said softly to the ship. "I know it hurts, but people are dying out there. Give us everything you have." The engines roared louder, pushing harder. The 3 ships cut through space like arrows toward their target. Behind them, the Galactic Council watched and waited. Some hoped the humans would succeed. Others feared what the humans might do. On the bridge, Hyun stared at the countdown timer. 13 hours and 42 minutes until they reached the Velians. He did not know if that would be fast enough. All he knew was that they would try. Humans did not give up. Humans did not leave people behind. That was why the galaxy feared them, and that was why the galaxy needed them. The 3 human ships burned through space at speeds that made other species nervous. Inside the Indomitable, the crew worked with focused intensity. Every person had a job. Every job mattered. Captain Hyun stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display. The Velian colony ship was still 10 hours away, but long-range sensors were already picking up information. What they saw was not good. 3 Krath ships, Commander Jinwoo reported, highlighting them on the screen. 1 flagship, looks like their command vessel. 2 smaller raiders flanking it. The Velian ship is sitting dead in space between them. Hyun leaned forward, studying the formation. The Krath flagship was called the Blood Talon, according to the identification codes. It was twice the size of their destroyer, covered in weapons and armor plating. The 2 raiders were fast attack ships, designed to chase down prey and disable their engines. "They are preparing to breach the final safe zones," Jinwoo continued. "The Velians sealed themselves into 3 sections of their ship, but the Krath are cutting through the doors." "Time until they break through?" Hyun asked. 6 hours, maybe less." Hyun nodded slowly. "They would arrive with 4 hours to spare, maybe 5 if the Velians could hold out longer, but that assumed nothing went wrong. In combat, things always went wrong. "Get me Lieutenant Do-hyun," he said. Down in the Marine Bay, Do-hyun was drilling his squad for the 5th time. They moved through the mock-up of a ship corridor, their powered armor making them look like walking tanks. Each Marine carried weapons designed for ship combat, guns that would not punch through hull plating but would certainly stop any living target. "Again," Do-hyun ordered. "Faster this time. Breaching charges on the doors, flashbangs through, then we go in. Remember, the Velians are fragile. Watch your fire. Watch your strength. You bump into one wrong and you will break their bones." His squad nodded and reset for another run. Specialist Yoonji checked her medical scanner, making sure it was calibrated for Velian biology. She had studied the files Dr. Soman sent her. Velians were light, delicate creatures. A human handshake could fracture their fingers. She would need to be very careful. The bridge called down to the Marine Bay. Do-hyun answered, seeing Captain Hyun's face on his helmet display. "Lieutenant, we are going over the assault plan," Hyun said. "Join us in the briefing room." Do-hyun left his squad and headed up through the ship. On his way, he passed crew members running in both directions. Everyone was preparing. The ship felt alive with purpose. In the briefing room, the senior officers gathered around a holographic display of the combat zone. Captain Hyun stood at the head of the table. Commander Jin-woo operated the controls. Dr. A. Soman sat to one side, making notes. Admiral Nari appeared via hologram from the destroyer Relentless. "Here is the situation," Hyun began. "The Krath have 3 ships. We have 3 ships. But this is not about ship-to-ship combat. Our goal is to save the Velians, not win glory." He pointed at the display. "The Krath flagship has most of their warriors on board the Velian ship right now. That makes the Blood Talon vulnerable. The Relentless will target the flagship's jump drive with railgun fire. Surgical strike. We disable their escape route." Jinwoo zoomed in on the 2 raider ships. "The Typhoon will engage both raiders with missile strikes. Target their engines, not their crew sections. We want them dead in the water, not dead. "And the Indomitable?" Do-hyun asked. "We deliver you and your Marines to the Valiant ship," Hyun replied. "Ensign Taeyang will fly assault shuttles through whatever fire the Krath throw at us. You will breach at 4 points simultaneously, here, and here." He marked the locations on the display. "Each breach team secures a safe zone and holds until all Velians are accounted for." "What about the Krath warriors already inside?" Do-hyun asked. Hyun's expression went hard. "You are authorized to use whatever force necessary to protect the Velians. But we follow the rules of war. Anyone who surrenders gets taken prisoner. Anyone who surrenders and then tries to hurt us does not get a second chance." Do-hyun nodded. He understood. "Be professional, be controlled, but do not hesitate." Dr. Soman spoke up. "I will have medical teams on each assault shuttle. The moment you secure a zone, we start treating the wounded. The Velians have been without proper life support for hours. They will be suffering from oxygen deprivation and temperature stress." "Time frame?" Admiral Nari asked from her hologram. "From the moment we arrive to the moment we need all Velians evacuated, we have maybe 30 minutes, Jinwoo said. "After that, the Council will start asking uncomfortable questions about what we are doing." 30 minutes, Do-hyun repeated. "That is not a lot of time." "Then we do not waste any," Hyun replied. The briefing continued for another hour. They went over every detail, every contingency, every possible problem. When they finished, each person knew exactly what they needed to do. Down in the pilot bay, Ensign Taeyang was running simulation after simulation. The approach would be dangerous. The Krath would be shooting at his shuttles. He would need to dodge, weave, and fly through weapons fire that could tear his shuttle apart. His hands moved across the controls, each movement precise and practiced. "Again," he whispered to himself, restarting the simulation. "Faster, smoother." In the medical bay, Dr. Somin prepared her teams. She had 10 doctors and 20 nurses ready. They set up portable medical units that could be carried on the shuttles. Each unit had equipment for treating trauma, oxygen deprivation, and exposure injuries. "Remember," she told her staff, "Velians cannot handle our gravity. Keep them in the low-grav fields at all times. Their bones break easily. Their skin tears easily. Treat them like they are made of paper, because compared to us, they are. Down in engineering, Chief Kwan watched the engines strain. The temperature was well past recommended levels, but the engines were holding. He had built in safety margins, little extra bits of strength that the regulations did not require. Now those margins were being tested. "Just a few more hours," he told the engine room crew. "Then we can coast while the Marines do their work." Back on the bridge, Captain Hyun reviewed intelligence reports about the Krath. They were a warrior species, stronger than humans but not smarter. They relied on fear and brutality. They attacked weaker targets and avoided anyone who could fight back. That was going to change today. Commander Jinwoo pulled up tactical data. "The Krath have not noticed us yet. We are still running silent at long range. When we get close, we will light up like a sun on their sensors." "Good," Hyun said. "I want them to see us coming. I want them to know what is about to hit them." The hours passed slowly. The crew ate quick meals at their stations. Some tried to sleep, but could not. The tension built like a storm waiting to break. Lieutenant Do-hyun sat with his Marines in the bay. They checked their equipment one last time. Specialist Yoonji sat beside him, quiet and focused. "You scared?" she asked him softly. "Every time," Do-hyun admitted. "Being scared keeps you sharp, keeps you alive." "The Valians must be terrified," Yoonji said, "trapped in the dark, waiting for monsters to break through the doors." "That is why we are going to get there first," Do-hyun replied. "We are bigger monsters." Ensign Taeyang climbed into his shuttle cockpit and ran final checks. Behind him, a breach team loaded up with their equipment. He could hear their heavy boots on the deck plating. He took a deep breath and let it out slowly. On the bridge, an alarm chimed softly. Commander Jinwoo looked up. "We are 2 hours out," he announced. "The Krath have spotted us. They are hailing us." "Put them through," Hyun ordered. The view screen flickered, showing a Krath commander. It looked like a cross between a lizard and a bear, with scales and fur mixed together. Its teeth were sharp and yellow. "Human ship," the Krath growled. "This is a council matter. Leave now, or we will add your corpses to our collection." Captain Hyun smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "This is Captain Hyun of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have 18 minutes to release the Velians and surrender your ships. This is your only warning." The Krath commander laughed, a harsh barking sound. "You are outnumbered and outgunned, human. Run home before—" Hyun cut the transmission. He looked at Jinwoo. "All ships. Battle stations. Let's show them what Deathworlders can do." The 3 human ships dropped out of high-speed burn and separated into attack formation. The Krath were waiting for them, weapons powered and ready, but they were not ready for what happened next. "Relentless fire," Admiral Nari ordered from her ship. The destroyer's railgun fired once. The magnetic coils accelerated a solid slug of metal to a fraction of light speed. It crossed the distance between ships in less than a second and struck the Krath flagship's jump drive with perfect accuracy. The drive exploded in a flash of blue energy, and the Blood Talon lurched sideways, suddenly unable to escape. "Target hit," the weapons officer reported. "Their jump drive is destroyed." At the same moment, the frigate Typhoon launched a spread of missiles at the 2 Krath raiders. The missiles were smart, each one tracking its target with ruthless efficiency. The Krath tried to shoot them down, but human missiles were faster and more agile than anything they had seen before. 6 missiles hit the first raider's engines. 4 hit the second. Both ships went dark, floating helpless in space. 90 seconds. That was how long it took the human fleet to disable all 3 Krath ships. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Commander Jinwoo watched the tactical display with satisfaction. "All Krath vessels are combat ineffective. They are not going anywhere." Captain Hyun opened a channel to all Krath ships. His voice was cold and hard. "This is your final chance. Release the Velians and surrender, or we will come aboard and take them from you." The Krath commander's face appeared on screen again. It was snarling with rage. "You dare threaten us! We have your precious Velians! Surrender to us, or we start killing them!" As if to prove the point, the transmission split. On half the screen was the Krath commander. On the other half was a view inside the Velian ship. A Krath warrior held a small Velian by its thin neck. The Velian was crying, making soft sounds of terror. "You have 10 seconds to withdraw," the Krath commander said. "Or this one dies, then another, then another." Captain Hyun's face showed no emotion. He counted to 3 in his head, then spoke. "Commander Jinwoo, rules of engagement are now weapons-free. All Marines, you are authorized to eliminate any hostile target. Show them why Earth is a death world." He cut the transmission and looked at Jinwoo. "Launch the assault shuttles." In the pilot bay, Ensign Taeyang heard the order and fired his engines. His shuttle, the Valkyrie, launched from the Indomitable's bay with 5 other shuttles behind it. Each shuttle carried a full breach team and medical personnel. The Krath ships immediately opened fire. Plasma bolts and laser beams cut through space toward the shuttles. Any normal pilot would have been hit. But Taeyang was not a normal pilot. He was human, with reflexes faster than most species could understand. His hands moved across the controls, dodging left, then right, then dropping down as weapons fire passed through where he had been a moment before. Behind him, the other pilots did the same. They flew through the enemy fire like dancers, moving in ways that seemed impossible. The Krath gunners tried to track them but could not keep up. 30 seconds to breach point, Taeyang called to the Marines behind him. "Hold on. This is going to be rough." He aimed the shuttle straight at the side of the Velian colony ship and did not slow down. At the last second, he flipped the shuttle and fired the reverse thrusters, killing their speed just enough to not splatter against the hull. The shuttle's landing clamps grabbed hold of the Velian ship with a magnetic clang. "Go, go, go!" Lieutenant Do-Yun shouted. The Marines poured out of the shuttle, their powered armor making them strong enough to rip through metal with their bare hands. Do-Hyun placed breaching charges on the hull and stepped back. The charges blew inward, creating a hole large enough for the Marines to enter. Do-Hyun was first through. His helmet display showed the interior of the ship in thermal and motion tracking. He saw 3 Krath warriors running toward them, weapons raised. He did not hesitate. His rifle fired 3-round bursts, and all 3 Krath went down before they could shoot. "Breach Team 1 inside," he reported, moving to Safe Zone Alpha. Around the Velian ship, the other 3 breach teams were doing the same thing. 4 holes blown in the hull, 4 teams of Marines pushing inside. The Krath had not expected an attack this fast or this coordinated. Inside the ship, the Krath warriors were learning what it meant to fight humans. A Krath warrior was strong, able to lift 3 times its body weight, but a human in powered armor was stronger. A Krath warrior was fast, with reflexes honed by millions of years of hunting. But humans were faster. Do-Hyun's team moved through the corridors like a machine. They communicated with hand signals and short words, each Marine knowing where the others were at all times. When they reached the first safe zone door, they found 5 Krath warriors trying to cut through it with plasma torches. "Contact front," Do-Hyun said calmly into his radio. The Marines opened fire. The Krath tried to shoot back, but their plasma weapons were designed for unarmored targets. Against human combat armor, the shots barely scorched the surface. The Krath fell one by one. Only the last one was smart enough to drop its weapon and raise its claws in surrender. "Hostile secured," Do-Yun reported, zip-tying the Krath's claws behind its back. He turned to the door and placed his armored hand on the metal. "Velian survivors, this is Lieutenant Do-Yun of the Earth Defense Fleet." We are here to rescue you. Please step back from the door." There was silence. Then a weak voice came through the door's intercom. You are human?" "Yes," Do-yun said. "We received your distress call. Please step back. We are coming in." The Marines cut through the door locks carefully, not wanting to damage anyone on the other side. When the door opened, hot air rushed out. Inside the safe zone, dozens of Velians huddled together in the darkness. They looked like tall, thin birds with large eyes and delicate features. Many were injured. All were terrified. Do-yun removed his helmet, showing his face. "You are safe now," he said gently. "We are going to get you out of here." Specialist Yunji pushed past him, her medical scanner already working. "I need triage on the wounded," she said to the Velian who had spoken. "Who needs help first?" The Velians stared at her. They had heard stories about humans, about the violent Deathworld species. But this human woman was being gentle, her voice soft and calm. Across the ship, the other teams were doing the same thing. Breach Team 2 secured their safe zone with minimal fighting. Breach Team 3 had to fight through 8 Krath warriors, but did so without losing a single Marine. Breach Team 4 found their safe zone already breached, the door cut open, and Krath warriors inside, threatening the Velians. "Flashbangs," the team leader ordered. They threw stun grenades through the door. The bright light and loud noise blinded and deafened the Krath. The Marines rushed in immediately after, using their hands and fists instead of guns to avoid hitting any Velians in the close quarters. The fight was brutal but short. Humans in powered armor were simply too strong for the Krath to handle in hand-to-hand combat. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Hyun watched the tactical feed from each Marine team. "All safe zones secured. Time elapsed 12 minutes. Commander Jinwoo shook his head in amazement. The Krath never had a chance. Down on the Velian ship, the medical teams were spreading through the safe zones, treating the wounded and preparing people for evacuation. Dr. Somin moved among them, directing care and checking the most serious cases. She knelt beside a small Velian child who was barely breathing. "Oxygen deprivation," she said, placing a mask over the child's face. "Get me a low-grav stretcher." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Do-hyun's team was hunting down the remaining Krath warriors. They found the last group barricaded in the cargo bay, still holding hostages. Do-hyun could hear the Velians crying inside. "Sonic pulse," he ordered. His team activated sonic weapons that sent waves of sound through the cargo bay door. The sound was pitched at a frequency that would stun the Krath but not seriously harm the Velians. After 30 seconds, they breached the door and rushed inside. The Krath warriors were on the ground, dazed and confused. The Marines secured them quickly, then turned their attention to the Velian hostages. There were 30 of them, all alive, all scared but unharmed. A small Velian child broke away from the others and ran toward Do-hyun. The child was crying, making those soft, chirping sounds. Do-hyun knelt down, making himself smaller and less threatening. The child stopped in front of him, looking up at his face. "It is okay," Do-hyun said softly. "You are safe now. No one is going to hurt you." The child reached out with a tiny hand and touched Do-hyun's armor. Then it made a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been relief. "Sir," Specialist Yunji said behind him, "we need to evacuate these people now. Some of them are in critical condition." Do-hyun nodded and stood up. He spoke into his radio. "All teams, begin evacuation. Wounded first, then families with children, then everyone else. Krath prisoners, come last." The evacuation began. Marines carried Velians who could not walk. Medical staff guided those who could. The assault shuttles made trip after trip, ferrying the rescued to the Indomitable where Dr. Somin had prepared the medical bay. On the Krath flagship Blood Talon, The remaining crew watched in shock as the humans dismantled their attack in less than 30 minutes. Their commander was raging, ordering his crew to fight back, but there was nothing to fight. Their weapons were disabled, their ships were dead, and the humans had done exactly what they said they would do. Captain Hyun broadcast one final message to the Krath. Your warriors are prisoners. Your ships are disabled. The Valians are safe. You have lost. The next time you think about attacking civilian ships, remember this day. Remember what happens when you make humans angry. He cut the transmission and turned to Jinwoo. Get me casualty reports. All Marines accounted for. No serious injuries, Jinwoo reported. Valian casualties, 0 during our assault. All hostages recovered alive. Hyun allowed himself a small smile. That is how it is done. The medical bay of the Indomitable was full of activity. Dr. Somin moved between patients, her hands steady and sure as she treated the wounded Valians. Each bed floated in a low-gravity field, making the fragile aliens comfortable. Medical staff worked quietly and efficiently, their movements careful and deliberate. A young Valian with a broken wing bone flinched as Yoonji approached with medical tools. The alien's large eyes were wide with fear, its thin body trembling. It is okay, Yoonji said softly, setting down her tools and holding out her empty hands. I know I look scary. My species is... We are built different than yours, but I promise, I am only here to help. She moved slowly, explaining each step before she did it. I am going to scan your wing now. It will not hurt. See? Just a light. She activated the medical scanner, letting the Valians see it was harmless. Your bone is cracked, but I can fix it. Would that be okay? The Valian made a soft, chirping sound and nodded. Yoonji worked with gentle precision, setting the bone and applying a healing wrap. When she finished, the Valian touched her hand briefly, a gesture of thanks. Across the bay, other medical staff were doing the same, speaking softly, moving slowly, showing the Valians that despite their strength and size, humans could be gentle. The Valians had seen humans fight like demons. Now they were seeing humans heal with care that seemed impossible from such powerful beings. Dr. Somin paused at a bed where an elderly Valian lay. The alien's breathing was shallow, its 3 hearts beating weakly. She checked the readings and frowned. Severe oxygen deprivation, she said to her assistant. Lung damage. We need to stabilize all 3 hearts simultaneously or we will lose them. Her team worked for 20 minutes, carefully adjusting medication and oxygen levels. The Valian's condition slowly improved. When its eyes finally opened, Somin smiled down at it. Welcome back, she said. You gave us a scare. The Valian looked at her with confusion. You saved me? But your kind is said to be violent, dangerous. We can be, Somin admitted. But we choose when to be violent and when to be gentle. Right now, you need gentle. On the Valian colony ship, Lieutenant Do-hyun and his Marines were still clearing the last sections. They found a group of Krath warriors who had locked themselves in the engine room. The humans could have blown the door and gone in shooting, but Do-hyun chose a different approach. He stood outside the door and spoke through the intercom. Krath warriors, this is Lieutenant Do-hyun. The fight is over. Your ships are disabled. Your commander has surrendered. You can come out peacefully, or we can come in and get you. Your choice. There was silence. Then a voice replied, angry and defiant. If we come out, you will kill us. That is what humans do. No, Do-hyun said firmly. That is what you have heard about us. The truth is different. We follow the rules of war. You surrender. You get medical treatment and fair trial under galactic law. You fight, and yes, we will stop you with force. But we do not kill prisoners. That is not who we are. Another silence. Do-hyun waited patiently. Finally, the door opened. 3 Krath warriors emerged. their weapons on the ground, their claws raised. They looked terrified, expecting to be shot. Instead, Do-yun had his Marines secure their claws with restraints, check them for injuries, and escort them to a holding area. One of the Krath had a wound on its arm from earlier fighting. Yunji was called to treat it. The Krath warrior growled as she approached. "Stay back, human. I need to look at your arm," Yunji said calmly. "It is bleeding. If I do not clean and seal it, you could get an infection." "Why would you care?" the Krath snarled. "We are your enemies." "You were our enemies," Yunji corrected. "Now you are our prisoners, and we treat prisoners with basic decency. Hold still." She cleaned the wound with steady hands, applied a medical gel, and wrapped it in clean bandages. The Krath watched in confusion. It had expected torture or execution. Instead, it received medical care. "There," Yunji said when she finished. "Try not to move that arm too much for a few days. It will heal better." The Krath stared at her as she walked away to treat the next patient. It did not understand these humans at all. In the command center of the Blood Talon, the Krath commander was brought before Captain Hyun. The alien was massive, covered in scars from a lifetime of fighting. It expected to be executed. Instead, Hyun offered it a chair. "Sit," Hyun said. The Krath commander stayed standing, trying to look defiant. "Get it over with, human. Kill me." "I am not going to kill you," Hyun replied. "You are going to stand trial for piracy, kidnapping, and attempted murder. The Galactic Council will decide your punishment." "The Council," the Krath spat. "They are weak. You are weak for following their laws." Hyun stepped closer, his face hard. "You think we are weak? We disabled your entire fleet in 90 seconds. We rescued every hostage in 30 minutes. Your warriors are in custody. Your ships are scrap. And we did all of that while following the rules of war. That is not weakness. That is discipline." The Krath commander had no reply. On the Indomitable, the rescued Velians were gathering in a large common area. There were 247 of them, every single person who had been on their colony ship. The human crew had given them food, water, and clean clothes. Medical staff moved among them, checking on everyone. A small group of Velian children sat together, drawing pictures with paper and colored pencils that someone had found for them. One child was drawing a picture of a large armored figure holding a weapon, but instead of looking scary, the figure was holding a small Velian child in its other arm, protecting it. Lieutenant Do-yun walked past, and the children looked up at him. He was still in his armor, though he had removed his helmet. His face was stern and scarred, not friendly-looking, but one of the children smiled at him anyway. "Thank you," the child said in broken human language. "You saved us." Do-yun knelt down, trying to make himself less intimidating. "You are welcome. Are you all okay? Do you need anything?" The children shook their heads. One of them held up the drawing. "I made this. It is you." Do-yun took the picture carefully. In the drawing, he looked like a monster, but a kind monster, a protector. He felt something in his chest tighten. "Can I keep this?" he asked. The child nodded enthusiastically. Do-hyun carefully folded the picture and put it in a pocket on his armor. "Thank you. I will keep it safe." As he stood to leave, the children went back to drawing, but now they were all drawing pictures of humans, big and scary, but also kind. In the medical bay, Dr. Somin was finishing her rounds when an adult Velian approached her. It was one of the colony ship's officers, someone who had tried to protect the others during the attack. "Doctor," the Velian said quietly, "I must ask, why did you come? The council said humans were dangerous. They said we should fear you." Somin paused, considering her answer. "We are dangerous," she admitted. "My species evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. We became strong, fast, and aggressive because we had to. But we also learned something else. We learned that strength means nothing if you do not use it to protect those weaker than yourself. But the stories, the Velian pressed, they say humans are violent, that you enjoy war. We do not enjoy war, Soman said firmly. We are good at it because we had no choice. Earth taught us to fight or die, but Earth also taught us compassion. When you live on a world where everything is trying to kill you, you learn to value life. You learn to help each other. You learn that survival is not about being the strongest. It is about working together. The Velian was quiet for a moment. I was so frightened when I saw your ships arrive. I thought you would be worse than the Krath. And now? Soman asked. Now I understand, the Velian replied. You are warriors, yes, but you are warriors with hearts. Up on the bridge, Captain Hyun was preparing his report to the Galactic Council. Commander Jinwoo stood beside him, reviewing the mission data. Final casualty report, Jinwoo said. Velian casualties during rescue Operation 0. Velian casualties before we arrived, 3 dead from oxygen deprivation. Krath casualties, 23 dead, 47 captured alive. Human casualties, 0. Total mission time? Hyun asked. From arrival to all clear, 34 minutes. Hyun nodded slowly. 34 minutes to save 247 lives. The council would not like how they did it. The council would say they used too much force, moved too fast, took too many risks. But the council was not here. The council did not watch the Krath cut through doors to murder civilians. The council did not hear the Velian children crying in the dark. Send the report, Hyun ordered. Include all combat footage. Let them see exactly what we did. As Jinwoo worked on the report, Hyun looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, other ships were in danger. Other civilians needed help, and the Galactic Council would debate and discuss and follow protocols while people died. But humans would not wait. Humans would respond, because that was what Deathworld species did. They protected those who could not protect themselves. Down in the common area, a Velian elder approached one of the Marines who was standing guard. The Marine tensed, ready to help if needed. I wanted to thank you, the elder said. All of you. You came when no one else would. You risked yourselves for us. The Marine, a young woman named Hannah, shook her head. We were just doing our job. No, the elder insisted. You did more than that. You showed us that strength and kindness are not opposites, that being a warrior does not mean being cruel. You showed us what it means to have honor. Hannah did not know what to say to that. She just nodded and tried not to let the elder see how much those words meant to her. Around the ship, similar conversations were happening. Velians thanking humans, humans trying to explain that they were just doing what anyone would do. Neither side fully understanding that the other saw them as extraordinary. The Galactic Council chamber was completely silent as the mission data played on the central holographic display. Every representative watched as human ships arrived, disabled the Krath fleet in 90 seconds, and then performed what could only be described as a perfect rescue operation. The footage showed Marines breaching the Velian ship, moving with brutal efficiency, but also careful precision. Every shot fired was deliberate, every movement calculated. When the humans encountered surrendering enemies, they took prisoners. When they found wounded Velians, they stopped to give medical care even while still in a combat zone. The final statistics appeared on the screen. 247 Velians rescued. 0 casualties during the human operation. Total time from arrival to evacuation complete, 34 minutes. The Tresh Collective representative was the first to speak, its mandibles clicking in what might have been approval. Remarkable. I have never seen such controlled aggression. It was brutal, another representative said, a floating being that shimmered with nervous energy. They destroyed 3 ships in seconds. They disabled 3 ships, the Velian ambassador corrected, standing up on shaking legs. There is a difference. The Krath crews are alive. They will face trial. And my people, all of my people, are alive because the humans acted when no one else would. Admiral Nari stood in the Earth delegation area, her posture straight and proud. She knew what was coming next. The galaxy would have to decide what to do about humanity. Were they heroes, or were they dangerous? The Council Arbiter raised one crystalline branch for attention. The human fleet has succeeded beyond our expectations. However, we must address concerns about their methods. Such overwhelming force, such aggressive tactics. Saved lives, Nari interrupted. With respect, Arbiter, we can debate tactics and protocols all day. But while we debate, people die. The Krath had 18 hours before we arrived. They were minutes away from breaching the final safe zones. If we had waited for a proper council fleet, if we had followed standard peacekeeping protocols, every Velian would be dead or sold into slavery. But your reputation, another representative argued. Humans are known for violence. This will only increase the fear other species have of you. Good, Nari said flatly. The chamber gasped at her bluntness. Let them be afraid. Let the pirates be afraid. Let the slavers be afraid. Let anyone who preys on the weak be afraid, because we are watching now, and we will respond. The Valian ambassador stepped forward, its voice stronger than before. I propose that humanity be granted authority as rapid response protectors for the outer colonies. They have proven they can arrive faster than any council fleet. They have proven they can save lives without unnecessary killing. My people owe them everything. The chamber erupted in debate. Some representatives agreed immediately. Others worried about giving humans too much power. The discussion went on for hours. On the Indomitable, Captain Hyun was not watching the council debate. He was in the common area, sharing a meal with some of the rescued Velians. The aliens were still nervous around humans, but less than before. They asked questions about Earth, about human culture, about why humans chose to help. On Earth, Hyun explained to a group of Velian adults, we have a saying, with great power comes great responsibility. My species is strong. That strength could be used for terrible things, or it could be used to protect others. We chose protection. But why? A Velian asked. You could take what you want. You could rule through fear. Hyun shook his head. Rule through fear, and you rule nothing but ashes. We learned that in our own history. We had wars, terrible wars where humans fought humans. We destroyed ourselves over and over. Eventually we learned. Power without responsibility is tyranny. Strength without compassion is just violence. Lieutenant Do Hyun walked past with his squad. The Valian children saw him and ran over, showing him new pictures they had drawn. He knelt down to look at each one, praising their work. The Velian adults watched in amazement. This was the same human who had fought through a ship full of armed pirates an hour ago. Now he was gently helping children with art projects. In the medical bay, Dr. Somin was training some Velian doctors in human medical techniques. They were fascinated by how humans approached medicine, the combination of high technology and personal care. In human medicine, Somin explained, we treat the whole person, not just the injury. Physical healing is important, but so is emotional healing. That is why we talk to our patients, why we try to make them comfortable, why we care about their feelings. On our world, one Velian doctor said, medicine is purely technical. We repair what is broken and move on. That works for machines, Somin replied. But living beings need more than repair. They need hope. They need kindness. They need to know someone cares if they live or die. Down in the holding area, the captured Krath warriors were being fed and checked by medical staff. One of the Krath, the commander who had threatened the hostages, sat in his cell and stared at the wall. A human guard brought him food. The Krath looked at it suspiciously. It is probably poisoned. It is the same food we eat, the guard replied. We do not poison prisoners. That is against the rules. Rules. The Krath spat. "You could kill us all. No one would stop you. We are pirates. We deserve death." "Maybe," the guard said. "But that is not our choice to make. A court will decide what you deserve. We just make sure you live long enough to face that court." The Krath was silent for a moment. "I do not understand your species. You fight like demons. You kill without hesitation. But then you stop. You follow rules. You show mercy. How can you be both?" The guard thought about it. "Because we choose to be. Being capable of violence does not mean we have to be violent all the time. Being strong does not mean we have to be cruel. We are both because we decide to be both." Back in the council chamber, the vote was finally called. The holographic display showed the results. 73% in favor of granting humanity rapid response authority, 27% against or abstaining. The council arbiter spoke. "By majority vote, the human fleet is granted authority to respond to distress calls in outer colony space. They will operate under council oversight but with freedom to act as they see necessary to save lives." Admiral Nari accepted the decision with a formal bow. "We will not abuse this trust." "See that you do not," the arbiter replied. "The galaxy will be watching." 3 days later, the human fleet arrived back at Council space. The Velians were transferred to a colony support ship that would take them to a new home. As they left, many of them stopped to thank the humans one final time. The Velian elder who had spoken to Hana approached Captain Hyun. "We will tell others what you did for us. We will tell them that humans are not monsters. You are protectors." Hyun smiled. "Tell them we are both. We are capable of terrible things when we must be, but we choose to use that capability to protect, not to harm. That is what makes us different." The Velian nodded and departed. Soon all the rescued civilians were gone, and the human fleet was alone again. On the bridge, Commander Jinwoo was reviewing reports when an alert chimed. "Captain, we have a new distress call. Mining colony in the outer reach. They are under attack by raiders." "Distance?" Hyun asked. 20 hours at maximum burn." Hyun did not hesitate. "All ships, plot course. We are going to maximum burn in 5 minutes." He looked at Jinwoo. "How long until the nearest council fleet can respond?" 4 days, Jinwoo replied. "Then we better hurry," Hyun said. Down in the Marine Bay, Lieutenant Do-Yun heard the alert and smiled. His squad was already moving, checking weapons and armor. They knew the drill now. Another call for help. Another race against time. Another chance to prove that humans could be trusted with power. Specialist Yunji checked her medical supplies. "Do we know what species we are rescuing this time?" "Does it matter?" Do-Hyun asked. "No," she admitted. "Not really." In the pilot bay, Ensign Taiyang climbed into his shuttle and started pre-flight checks. He did not know what they would face at the mining colony. He only knew they would get there as fast as possible and do whatever it took to save lives. Chief Kwan pushed the engines past the red line again, listening to them strain and roar. "Come on, girl. More people need us. Show them what you can do." The 3 ships accelerated, leaving council space behind. Ahead of them, somewhere in the darkness, people were in danger. People were scared. People needed help that might not arrive in time through normal channels. But the human fleet was coming, and they would not stop until everyone was safe. On Earth, in the Defense Fleet headquarters, a young officer was updating the mission board. The Velian rescue was marked complete and successful. Below it, a new mission appeared. Mining colony distress call. Fleet en route. An admiral walked past and saw the board. "How many active missions do we have?" 15, sir, the officer replied, "and more coming in every day." "Can we handle that many?" The officer looked at the board, at all those missions, at all those people waiting for help. "We will find a way, sir. We always do." Back on the Indomitable, Captain Hyun stood on the bridge and looked out at the stars. Somewhere behind them, the Galactic Council was still debating what to do about humanity. Some feared them, some admired them, some did not know what to think. It did not matter. The Council could debate, politicians could argue, but while they talked, the human fleet would act, because that was what Deathworld species did when they chose to be better than their nature suggested they could be. "Captain," Jinwoo said, "we are receiving multiple additional distress calls. Do you want me to forward them to Council Dispatch?" Hyun thought about it. The Council would assign ships, eventually, after proper procedures and debates and authorizations, but people were dying now. "Forward them to Admiral Nari," he said. "Let her coordinate the response. We have ships, we have Marines, we have people who need help. That is all we need to know." Jinwoo nodded and sent the messages. The fleet burned through space, engines roaring, crews ready. Behind them, the galaxy was slowly learning a new truth. Humans were dangerous. Humans were violent. Humans came from a world that should have killed them, but instead made them stronger. But humans were also protectors. They would answer the call. They would arrive with brutal precision. They would save lives that others thought were lost. And they would keep doing it over and over until the galaxy understood that Deathworld predators could choose to be guardians instead. The stars stretched out before them,